Hi friends, I recently got into the art of journaling. I bought myself a Paper Republic Grand Voyager pocket journal and instantly fell in love with this tiny little thing. I've been taking it everywhere I go. Since I got it, I decided that I wanted a few larger sizes, but then I looked on the website for Paper Republic and Lousie Carmen and instantly decided that I should not spend my money on these expensive journals. So from there, I decided that I would just make my own. I made myself an A6 version of a trifold Lousie Carmen leather journal. I made myself a Traveler's Company sized leather journal. This fits a Hobonichi Weeks. And then I made myself an A5 leather bound journal. It's safe to say that I'm no pro, but I know how to make journals. I thought that I could take you through step by step how to make your own journal, whether it's Lousie Carmen inspired or Paper Republic inspired. We'll walk through all of the materials that you're going to need. I will make my own journal with you all. I hope this video is helpful for you. Honestly, if you have the materials, it's pretty easy to make these leather journals, and I'm here to walk you through it all. Before we start, let's talk about all of the materials that you're going to need, along with any optional materials that you might want, not necessary, but it might be helpful in making the process a little bit easier for you. For starters, you're gonna need leather. You can find leather pretty much anywhere. You go to a craft store. I know Michael's has some. You can look online too. I get my leather from BuckleGuy. They have plenty of different types of leathers, but the leather that I like to use and the leather that Paper Republic uses is veg tanned leather. This leather is going to be a little bit more natural, and it's going to have the best patina over age. Patina is how leather ages. And as you can see, I've had this journal for about 3 weeks now, and it's not perfect. This is the art of aging with leather, and it just makes the leather more unique and lived in. And I think that's the beauty of leather, is everyone's gonna have their own unique experience with the leather that they're using, and the patina is going to age differently for every leather journal that you have. I get the Korba Buffalo Calf in burnished veg tanned panels, and the color that I'll be using today is purple. This is a 3 to 3.5 ounce. It is 19.5 inches by 11 inches. So this is a panel that I'm going to be working today. So first off, you'll need leather. You'll need a rotary cutter or a knife of some sort so you can cut your leather. I got mine from BuckleGuy. This is the 45 millimeter rotary cutter. You're going to need elastic cords so you can tie your journals into your leather panels. You're going to need a hammer, any type of hammer. This is one that I just picked out because I thought it was cute from my husband's toolbox. This is a ball peen hammer specifically, but like I said, any hammer will do. You'll need measuring tape so you can measure the length and width of your leather. These are optional. These are different sized punches. I do have a hole puncher that I'll be using, but also I have a grommet kit that you will need. It is a hole puncher and grommet kit. Let me show you what it looks like close up. It's a 3-piece kit from Amazon. I'll link it down below. All of these items that you might be using, I will link down where I got them from. These are grommets. Grommets are used with the hole puncher and the grommet kit to make little accent pieces for the holes on the sides of the journal. Grommets are not necessary. For example, if you look at this Paper Republic journal, it does not have grommets on the spine. I just like the look of grommets, so I got myself some gold grommets, pencil and an eraser. These are going to be used to make your lines for when you're cutting your leather. scissors. Pretty self-explanatory. I like to have a ruler. I know that I said grab a measuring tape, but I will sometimes use a ruler to make sure things are lined up and not crooked. I'm using this green mat as a third measuring tape as well. This is also used for any specific crafts. If we're cutting things, putting holes in things, it's for safety purposes. And underneath this green mat is a wooden board for when I'm hole punching for the grommets and the elastics. Those are all of the materials that we're going to be using today to make our own DIY tri-fold leather journal, or no tri-fold. You can just do a regular fold like this as well. Lastly, in addition to your leather, you're going to need some notebooks that you want to add to your leather journal. I like to have my notebooks ready so I know what size I want to make my journal and make sure that my notebooks fit within my journal when I fold my leather, to make sure that everything lines up and my journals are not overflowing. I don't have too many journals, and it just makes the whole process a little bit easier. So if you have those handy, make sure you set them to the side, because when we're measuring our leather, we're also going to measure the leather with our journals that we're adding. Think of this as a beginner's guide to leather journal making, or a leather journal making for dummies. What you're first going to do is grab your leather and make sure that the inside is facing outward so we can measure out the leather and figure out how we want to make our sizing and how big or small we want our leather. What I'm first going to do is measure what I have. My leather is approximately 20 inches wide and it is 11 inches tall. I want this journal to be pretty big, so I'm not gonna adjust the width of it. I might just bring the height a little bit lower, and how I'm going to decide on that is by grabbing the journals that I want to use, which are these right here, and figure out how I want it to lay flat. I already know that this journal is going to be pretty big, and I'm okay with that. You might want a smaller sized journal. I've lined it up at the bottom. I've left a little bit of a gap here. I don't like it when the notebooks are flush to the leather, so I'm gonna make sure I have some gap on either sides. We'll have to cut a little bit off, but I would like this to be a tri-fold journal. I don't want this to be a regular folding journal where I fold it and I just cut the length a little bit. I'm going to make it a tri-fold. So how that would potentially look is, I'm gonna shift it over a little bit and fold it maybe a little less than a third, way less than a third, fourth. Fractions are hard. You know, I'm not here to show you math. I'm here to teach you how to make a journal. So I'm going to be able to fold it very similar to my A5 journal that I have right here. So this is going to be the end product. You have the tiny flap that covers the spines, the other side of the spines, and then it opens up like this. This is a tri-fold journal. So that's what I'm planning on making, but a larger size. Once you figured out if you want a tri-fold or a regular journal cover, the second step is to cut the leather to the length and width that you would like. Like I mentioned, I'm not going to be cutting the length at all. I want a lot of extra space when I tri-fold it. The only thing I'm going to be doing is cutting some of the top off. The excess border is what we'll call it, for my liking. And this is a time where you figure out the size that you want. This is a time to figure out how much border you want, or that gap in between the notebooks and the top of the leather journal. Once you figured out that size, we're gonna get cutting. So to cut off 1/2 inch, I've measured it out, and I'm going to take a pencil and line up to the edge and add a little mark to where I'm going to start cutting. I'm gonna make sure I do this in a few different areas so that I can make sure that everything is evened out before I cut, because that would be a problem. And make sure that when you are using your pencil that you can see the lines that you're making. I realize that for this leather specifically, since it is darker, I can't really see my marks. So I just need to make sure they're a little bit more prominent. You can see that I have my line all the way through right here. I want to make sure that it is even out. And I'm also going to make that line all the way through so that when I cut, I know what I'm cutting. Honestly, this is the most stressful part for me because I want to make sure that I am making my cuts even and I'm not messing up. So take your time, make sure that everything is lined up, because if you don't, then you might get a crooked journal. And if you're okay with that, then that's okay. I can start cutting. Like I mentioned, this is the most stressful part. You're gonna use your rotary cutter, whatever you use to cut leather. Let's see what it would look like if I put my notebooks in. Perfect. I like how there's some extra space at the top. I flip it around. There's extra space at the bottom too. And if I folded it, it folds perfectly. All right, so I've cut my leather to the size that I want it. You might notice here that it's not perfectly straight. You probably did a better job than me. I am okay with the fact that I had a little hiccup right here. I'm gonna make this the bottom so I don't have to look at it constantly. And the top is still nice since I didn't cut it, and the sides are too. Next, what we will want to do is lay out the leather flat, place your notebooks where you want them to sit, and figure out how your folds are going to lie. For me, I want there to be a trifold, right? So I'm going to shift my notebooks over to the right and fold the left over so there's some gap, and it's a full trifold. You can see that this is the spine of the journal. We're going to want to hole punch on the spine. To figure that out, what I'm going to do is take my notebooks and shift them over so the spines are on the leather. From here, I'm going to mark the outsides of the spines so I know where to put the hole punches. So I'm going to do this on either side, and then we will measure it out. So as you can see, I put 2 lines here, 2 lines here, because that's how thick the spine is going to be. If we want to figure out where we want to put the hole punches, I am measuring out how many inches this is. So based on my measurements right here, this is about 2 inches. I can double check as well. You can decide where you want your holes and how many holes you want. I'm thinking since this is a bigger notebook, I'm gonna have 3 holes for my grommets, 3 2 times. So what I'm gonna do first is measure 1/2 inch from the bottom so I know where the hole needs to go, the first hole. And then the second hole is going to be another 1/2 inch from that first hole. I'm gonna do the same thing for the other 2 sets as well. So each of the holes are going to be 1/2 inch from one other. Let me try to walk you through this. So the spine is going to be from 4 to 6, so 2 inches. I'm gonna start my first hole 1/2 inch from the spine, and I'm making my hole at the 4.5, the 5, and 5.5. So they're 1/2 inch from one another, and I have 3 holes. And then I'm going to measure 1/2 inch from there as well. And then same thing, 4.5, 5, and 5.75. Those are where the holes are gonna go. I'm going to flip this over and do the exact same thing for the holes. It doesn't have to be that confusing, but for some reason it is. I'm gonna remove this so that I can make sure I leave any marks on this wood. I'm going to be using both the hole puncher and my hole puncher set which is also helpful for grommets. You don't need this yet. You can set it to the side. You actually don't need this either. I don't know what it's called. Set that to the side. You'll need this. This is your hole puncher. So grab your hammer and your hole puncher, and you're going to take the whole part of the hole puncher on the circle that you just made and hammer away. I need to make mine a little bit bigger, so I'll be going through with this hole puncher after, but this is just helpful to get an idea of where the holes are going. Depending on the thickness of your leather will be how easy or hard it is going to be to make that hole. All right, I have my hole punches. They're a little bit small, too small for the grommets. I never told you the size of the grommets that I got. So the size that I got is 2 millimeters. They're pretty tiny, and we're gonna need to put them through the holes. I'm going to use reinforcement with this hole puncher, just to make the holes a little bit wider. This next step is optional. You don't have to put grommets in. You can just go straight away and work on adding your cords through. I'm going to add my grommets in to get more of a clean look. That's just how I like it. So feel free to skip if you would like. Flip it over to the nice side and add in these grommets. If they don't fit right away, you might need to work on making your hole a little bit bigger. Now that we have our grommets in, we need to seal the grommet. So you're gonna take this thing, place it underneath, kind of like that. So it's underneath the grommet, so it sits pretty nicely. You're gonna grab this tool and place it through and hammer that. So you can kind of see the difference. We hammered that, we did not hammer that one, just so that it sits in the leather nicely. So we're gonna go through and do that for all of them. All right, so if you worked on adding your grommets, this is what they should look like, nice and clean. If you didn't, well, the next step's now for you. One more thing, we need to do one more hole. So I'm gonna use the measuring board for this. We need to add a hole in the middle to hold the two folds together. That's what we need to do. Some people like to add their hole to the back of the journal versus the spine. I like adding it on the spine so it's out of my way when I am opening it up and I am using it. I'm going to do it on the spine. You can do it on the back if you would like. If you choose to make your hole on the back, all you're going to do is find the center point and make that hole. To measure out the hole, I need to measure out the length. It's 10.5. So 10.5. So I need to do 5.25. Yeah, math. I'm just going to do 5.25 and make sure that the hole would be in the middle. Now we're ready for the threads. The final step before we add in our notebooks is to figure out the color of the cords you want and tie the cords in. I'm going to do this pink fuchsia color. I think that'll look really pretty. I do like that monochromatic look. So what I'm gonna do is cut some excess off so it's the fuzz, the peeling is gone. What you're gonna do is go from the top, loop down, loop back up, and then we're gonna measure out how much we might need. So we can keep our thread a little bit tight because we'll be adding our notebooks. To start, I'm gonna do this much and we'll probably end up cutting a little bit off too. So I'm just going to measure out 3 of these. I'm gonna take one of the cords. I'm gonna go down, come back up, and then from the other side, I'm gonna cut some of this off. I'm gonna go through the bottom hole and come up through the top, if I can. Okay. And then now we can tie our loops. It's okay if it's a little bit tight and it's bending a little bit. We're adding our notebooks in, so it should flatten out. You don't want it to be too loose. Also, I don't want to make it too tight, because I don't want this area to bend in. So you kind of have to find the happy medium. I'm gonna do that 2 more times. All right, so this is what the binding looks like on the spine. Now we just need to do this loop. What you're gonna do is flip the journal over, take one end through the outside of the journal in, and you're gonna do the same thing for the other. You need to tie it from the inside. So it's kind of like, it'll look like that, but a little bit tighter. So basically you want it tight enough so the leather won't move around. This is what it looks like before we put the books in. And now we're ready to put our books in. So exciting. So how you're gonna put your books in is find the middle, and you're gonna take one of the threads through. That's my first one. A folder in here as well. And there you have it. If you made it this far, you probably have created a journal by now. Congratulations are in order. Pat yourself on the back. This is so exciting. I went from one tiny little Paper Republic Grand Voyager pocket journal to making my own, and now I cannot stop. Today I made myself a giant A4 sized almost journal. It's in purple. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was easy to understand. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions at all. I will be monitoring this video to make sure I can be of assistance in any way that I can. I hope that you are in love with your journal just as much as I am with all of mine. This is such an exciting time for me right now. I'm really trying to get into the art of journaling and writing down my thoughts and capturing memories. This journal specifically I'll be using as a memory keeper, but think of it in more of an artistic and creative way. I'm going to scrapbook and junk journal with this journal specifically. I do have an ecosystem and a structure of how I plan to use all of these journals. So if you would like to see that, let me know in the comments down below. I would be happy to film a video for that. I actually would love to film a video for that. I just hope that people would want to watch it. I'm just really excited to see how these journals grow as I grow and age. I'm excited to see how the leather is going to age and how the patina is going to change. Like I mentioned, journals change and grow with season and as you use them. I think that's the beauty of it all. Even if we all make the same size journal, we're all going to have different experiences with our journals. We're going to have different uses with our journals, and that's what makes the art of journaling so unique, because every person is different and every person journals differently, and some way, shape, or form. And the idea that the journals that you carry and take with you and travel with you don't all go to the same place. If you think about that, you as a human being have not touched the same exact locations, the same exact floor, the same exact world as someone else. And I think that's so special, and it speaks to volume with journals as well. So fascinating and unique. I hope you love your journals. I hope this was helpful. I will see you in another video. Have a great day. Bye.